Hello, and thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited you could be here because today we're talking about securing high value contracts and what you could do to help that really explode the growth of your business. And to be able to discuss this, we have a credit suite partner and friend and the expert in this space, so much to a point where we're going to be doing a lot with her, featuring her on this because it's something you can really benefit from. So with us today is Karwanna Irving. Now, Karwanna is the founder of She's Got Goals Academy, a company that empowers individuals to dominate in business. So she has over 20 years experience and she's a government contracts strategist, influence expert and authority, and also the author of 10 Habits of the Highly Effective Entrepreneur, which I love. Karwanna has helped thousands transform their business into wealth generating vehicles, guiding entrepreneurs to achieve their goals and build lasting legacies. Now, as a certified business coach and a former TV host on SF Commons TV, Karwanna specializes in helping small business owners unlock the power of government contracts to grow profitable, sustainable businesses. Now, she's been featured on platforms such as CBS, NBC, Fox, and Star Tribune Business, where she shares her expertise to help entrepreneurs gain clarity and take charge of their success. Now, she's also the CEO of She's Got Goals LLC, a consulting firm dedicated to empowering women entrepreneurs. Now, with a Master of Science in Business and a Bachelor of Arts in Communication, she provides the tools, the mindset, and the strategies needed for business owners to build wealth, to achieve their dreams, and leave a lasting legacy. Karwanna, how are you doing today?
I am blessed. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, hopefully I'm
Yes.
tripping over my words today. So hopefully the interview
No,
goes better than talking about your bio. So
did an amazing job. Amazing job.
So I have to ask, like, such an obscure niche. And by the way, I love what you do because I don't know of
Thank you.
anybody that does this. And
Mhm.
it's a real thing. Like this can make or break a business. It's like a retailer getting into Walmart. Like it's that equivalent. So,
Yes.
like, what inspired you to start focusing on navigating, these kind of government contracts?
I originally started my business about 20 years ago. And like most companies, I thought that it's going to take, 2 to 5 years to really grow a business. I got to build it from the ground up, bootstrap it, and expect to struggle and not turn a profit. That is the myth, the going myth that is out there. And so I did that. But years into my business, probably about 5 years into the business, I still wasn't growing a profit. And I was trying to figure out the answers to why. I know that, I didn't have access to capital. So how am I going to bootstrap? I had very little clients coming in. So how am I going to reinvest? And so I was really stuck in business, barely making about $30,000 a year, but I was working full time for myself. And I actually met a really successful billionaire who was from my same community. And I just simply asked him how he got to where he was. And he told me it was government contracting. That was the first time I had ever heard of such a thing, like a regular person who has a regular business doing business with such an entity like the government. And he told me that, hey, if you did this, your life would completely change. And in fact, because you're a woman in business, they would want to, do even more business with you simply because of, your background and your socioeconomic disadvantages. And so I did it. The first contract that I landed was $70,000 for 28 days of work, right? So it basically doubled what I was working for in my business, working full time. Not knowing how to do this, I was able to double that revenue in just 28 days. And so it was very powerful. So from there, I decided that since this information was not readily accessible at, the where you go sign up to create your business at the Secretary of State, at the business offices, like where is the information? It's out there, but it wasn't in front of any entrepreneur's face. So I became the voice behind the reasoning of why every entrepreneur should do business with the government, which is the number one biggest purchaser that they could ever acquire as a client.
So how does this work? I'm just curious because I know nothing about this, like zero about this, and so everything you say is like shocking to me. So how does it work? Like, how can a regular everyday entrepreneur work with the government, or is it you have to be in a certain sector, a certain industry? Like, what does it take to get this done?
The funny thing about it is the government buys everything. So anything that anyone sell, you can sell it to the government. Most people think of the government as this entity that's, going to war or in the White House, but these are buildings full of people who consume and who eat and who uses paper and pencils and lighting and things, the same thing that we utilize, the same thing that we sell on the B2C level, which is business to consumer, the government purchases all those things. So you could be a home-based business, you could be a small business, you could be a very micro business and still acquire the government as a client. Some of the things that I sell to the government, even currently, are photography services. So something as simple as that, audio production, website design, graphic design, but they also buy anything from janitorial to catering. They buy wigs. The government buys prosthetic wigs. You would be surprised. Shoes, hats, belts, or all those different things. So whatever you sell in your business, you have to think of the government as a large body of customers that come in one contract. So that's all it is. It's just having one contract that serves an entire agency.
Are they products or are they services that you can actually move to the government?
Good question. Both. Both. So the government acquires both products and services. So I'm going to take you to the Small Business Act of America. So there's a such thing called the Small Business Act of America, in which case any company as defined by the SBA, as a small business, which has any company that has under 500 employees is automatically considered a small business. So according to the Small Business Act of America, the government is obligated to spend a certain percentage. That percentage kind of fluctuates between 23 to 26% of all of their multi-trillion dollar budget annually goes to small businesses. And they acquire products and goods, services and products. So anything from, we can sell bottled water to the government and they have contracting opportunities for bottled water that are like a half a million and, and beyond, just for bottled water. So they buy both products. They buy paper clips, they buy sticky notes, they buy cameras, they buy it all. They even buy dog food and ice cream and ketchup. So products, but also services. So if you're in IT, if you're in real estate, if you're in, maybe a trade, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, IT, all of those different things, all services and all products the government actually buys.
So if I'm selling water, right? I'm a one-man shop down here in Tampa, Florida,
Yeah,
selling water to the government. Okay, couple things. First of all, and we're just using this as a placeholder, people. Okay,
sure.
anything can work in this place. So we're selling water to the government. The first of all, how do I know if the government will even buy the water? Like, how do I even know if what I
Yeah.
have is something
hmm
that they would buy?
Yeah, so there's the three levels of government is includes federal government, local government, and state government. All three levels of government are putting out bidding databases. So they actually have a sourcing site of things that they're looking to purchase. For the federal government, that website is sam.gov. So if you go on sam.gov, you'll see anything from janitorial to facilities maintenance to, we want refrigerator replacements or cabinets. So they have a whole database of things that they're looking to purchase. And as an entrepreneur, you identify the things they're looking to purchase. If you actually can help them bridge the gap between their wants and giving them what they want at a competitive price, then you can potentially win the bid.
It reminds me of a movie, and I don't remember what movie it is, but
War dogs. War dogs. It's
yeah,
war
War
dogs.
Dogs.
Yes.
How did you do that? Like that's
That
so
is it.
freaky
That is
in my
it.
head. I think
That is
about
it.
that where they like bid too low, and these guys are like, you are like
It was like
considerably.
they wanted 300. So War Dogs, most people think is just a movie, but is actually based on a real story of these two. I think they were in their early 20s and they identified the Small Business Act of America. And which says that, well, the government has to spend it with small businesses. And so they won this $300 million contract and they underbid it by hundreds of millions of dollars. So perfect example, right? War Dogs is it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it makes me think about that because like those guys are like, well, what do you mean? He's like, oh, you guys came in way like hundreds of ways. So like,
Right.
how do you know? So now I know I sell water. I verified that the government will buy my water, but I don't know. Like, I have zero clue on how to even figure out how much to bid
Yeah,
for
yeah.
to sell that water. How do you recommend to your customers or your tribe that how they figure that out?
It's almost like going back to the basic business skills of understanding your COGS, which is like the cost of goods and services, right? What does it cost you to purchase the water, right? And then do you have to pick it up or does it have to be shipped? So you have to think about all the cost that goes into it and then what is going to be your base cost for that product. And then you mark it up. So you mark it up 50%, maybe 100%. Sometimes people double, triple, quadruple. So you have to like get really good at understanding based on the opportunity, should I mark it up 20%, 50% or whatever, or should I just double, triple, quadruple? That comes with experience, but you also want to make sure that it's profitable at the end of the day. So you purchase the product, you submitted a bid that includes your profit margin, they pay you, now you're happy. So what are you going to be happy with? That number, that bottom line number.
So, and that comes with a lot of experience. How long was the process to go through?
Typically, so contracting opportunities are, being, submitted to these databases on a daily basis. You could check with your state, you could check with your city procurement sites. So every day there's like hundreds of thousands of opportunities that are out there. Once you submit a bid, typically they'll tell you that there's a due date. Right. Sometimes that due date is like within 2 weeks, you have to, have your bid in, or sometimes it's like maybe 3 weeks or even a month. So depending on the opportunity. So once they select the awardee who they're going to award the contract to, maybe it's because you did the lowest bid, or maybe because you have the best produced, proposal and you have the best technical, opportunities of how you're going to deliver the service or whatever, then generally they'll give you a notice to proceed on a certain date. Sometimes those notice to proceed are like immediately upon signing the contract. Sometimes they're like notice to proceed. This is going to start 30 days out. So it all depends. But once you invoice, do the work and invoice, it takes about 30 days before you receive your payment. So typically, generally, they're 30-day net. Sometimes on a federal level, you can get paid every 14 days. It depends on the scope of the contract. And it depends on what's negotiated in the contract as well.
So, with all of this being said, how cumbersome is the process of applying or bidding?
It could be very cumbersome. So most people who try it to attempt it without a blueprint or training or some type of methodology of how to approach it, they could easily be overwhelmed. A lot of people are overwhelmed when they see it because sometimes these proposal opportunities are like 80 pages. Like, who wants to read an 80-page document? But when you have a blueprint, you know exactly how to narrow down that 80 pages to the information that's very important only. And that could be like 5 to 10 pages of that. But without a blueprint, it could be very cumbersome. It could be, very overwhelming, confusing, all of those different things. But this is the reason why you have to be that person, right? Not just an average entrepreneur, but that person who is a high executor, because this is not for the average. This is for people who are hungry and are willing and ready to grow their business by multiple six figures, even multiple seven figures or beyond, depending on the industry. On average, the minimum contract awarded to a small business is over $2.7 million annually, right? So even one contract, depending on where you are in business, could give you a seven-figure infusion of cash flow for your business. And so yeah.
And I love that you pointed that out because the problem with interviews like this is that it's like, okay, where do you find them? You're like, Sand.gov. And people are like, oh, step one, complete. Like, I hacked the system. And then like we do it in 5 steps, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna be rich. And then they're like, wow, this is way harder than I thought. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you touched upon the fact that like anything, like if you're going at this on your own, like it can be a freaking nightmare and a lot of failures before you even maybe come close to a win.
Yeah.
Whereas, we're going to talk at the end here about how to access a challenge and a path forward to be able
Sure.
to
Mhm.
actually succeed. But that
Mhm.
being said, what do you think? What is your 3 step? I think you've promoted that you have like a 3 step methodology to win these contracts. I think,
Yeah.
right? So
So,
what
so,
are the
so
3 steps?
yeah, so it's a four-step methodology. I started off with a three-step. Now I have a four-step really, to that really kind of dials it in. And these are the four main pillars of navigating successfully the government contracting space. The first step is business foundation. Having the right documents, making sure that you're compliant. In your business, you filed your taxes, you have copies of your invoices, like all of that basic rudimental, that basic business information documentation is very key to being able to then qualify to become a certified small business, right? And so that's step two is the certifications. There are certifications specifically for veteran-owned businesses. There's certifications specifically for women-owned businesses, for disadvantaged businesses that makes less than $20 million a year for 5 years straight. So certain certifications you can get if and only if you have gone through the first step of having the proper business foundation. This is what we cover in our GovCon challenge to help people get pre-qualified, because one wrong move and you're basically, delaying success or being able to move forward with the government contracting space. So we have the business foundation, we have getting certified for any of the socioeconomic disadvantages that you qualify for, including minority and women and Native American. So there's all these different groups. But then the next step is marketing, having a strong marketing strategy, understanding who the buyers are for your specific industry. When are they buying? How much of it are they buying, and how to get in contact with them? You have to have a pipeline of communication to these people so that they know that you exist and that you can actually solve the problems that they're looking to solve. And then the final step is proposals. Of course, this is the biggest kicker of them all. You cannot be awarded a contract unless you submit a proposal on these contracting opportunities that they're saying, hey, here's the problem that we're having. How would you solve it and how much would you charge? So basically, you're just responding, to those basically problems with your solutions of here's the solution for that, here's how much we'll charge, and here's how we're going to roll it out at a nice price. And so basically, that's the BCMP four-step methodology. When you have those things in place, then it just really helps navigating the government contracting space easier.
A lot of people think this could be easy. They listen to you on podcasts like this, they try
Mhm.
it, they come to you to the challenge because they probably fail, right? So, what are some of these biggest challenges that people truly face that overwhelm them where they're like, they
Yeah.
realize they can't do this on their own? Like, what are some
Just
of these challenges?
I would say just not really fully understanding the landscape. So there's a lot of noise out in the marketplace. There's a lot of people talking about don't do this and do that. And, there's a lot of misinformation that is out there. So unless you find someone who has gotten results and can help other people get results, it can be really, confusing, right? But you also have to have a greater purpose. So the purpose of having a business for most people, I want to believe, is to make money, right? So you have to understand how the money ecosystem works is very important. The money comes from the government, right? So if you're doing B2C, business to consumer, you're getting the money from a third party rather than going right to the source. I'm not saying that B2C is bad. It's not. It's great. However, when you go directly to the source, you get the most of it, right? Directly from the source, which is the government. So you have to understand the ecosystem. If the government prints the money, they make the money, they never run out of money. And even during down economic times, they're creating new bills and funding that bill to solve new problems, which is there's always going to be opportunities. This is the number one most fail-proof business model that you can ever have. You tap into the government contracting industry, and what that does essentially, aside from fail-proofing your business, it allows you to do what I call wealth redistribution. So the government has all the money. You as a contractor, you get to help them redistribute the money into your business, into your communities, the things that you are, basically are passionate about, things that you're thinking that needs funding behind it that you want to change. And so you become a wealth redistributor, right? In that essence. However, one of the biggest hurdles that I think that keeps small business behind is they don't really truly understand how serious of a decision this is. Now, when I say that, what I mean by it, if I can just give some preference to it, is there are 33 million small business entrepreneurs across the US right now. 86% of those entrepreneurs, and this may not be the story of many of your listeners, but 86% of them are making less than $80,000 a year, right? So you have a huge, significant database of small business owners who are barely making it, depending on where you live, making that type of revenue. You're barely making it. However, the government is awarding $2.7 million contracts, and it's not taking you 70, 80 hours a week to work that. We're talking about maybe 5 to 10 hours a week. very part-time to do that. So you have to have a purpose, you have to understand the money ecosystem, and you have to be willing to go the extra mile to do what most people won't do, which is to learn government contracts and not to play with it, not to go try to figure out how to stitch pieces together on YouTube University where everybody's saying something different and the information is confusing, then you end up not progressing, right? You have to find a training, doesn't have to be mine, a training, a mentor, a coach, a class, something that's going to help you know how to learn and pitch, win and pitch government contracts. That is the key. You have to know how to pitch government contracts so that you can win them.
So if anybody's using anybody other than you, then let me just say they're a loser. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. But kind of not kidding. Okay, so that being
Right.
said, so let me and I love that you say that because the reality is we all sit here and listen to things like this and think it's easy. And then what happens is people go, try it, right?
Yeah.
And then they fail because they tried it and then it
Hmm.
doesn't work. And then they move to the next thing that's easy and easy,
Yeah.
easy. And
Hmm.
what you and I both learned in business is that really almost anything will work if you
You have
just
to
stick with
stick
it.
to it.
Like,
Hmm.
you're trying to drive your business in the beginning of this home and you're
Yeah.
struggling. But then
Hmm.
you start asking people, how did you do it? How did you do it? And then you
Yeah.
get the insight to drive
Yeah.
forward. So
Yeah.
I love that you hit on that because everybody thinks it's easy
Absolutely.
and then they try
Absolutely.
stuff and it doesn't work because they didn't commit. If you just freaking commit, just do it, do it, do it,
You
and just
gotta
commit,
commit.
you
Absolutely.
accomplish something.
I'm glad that you brought that up, and I know that's very important for me because when I first heard about government contracts, I failed. I tried to do it and I failed miserably for about 2 years. So I didn't just like submit
Yeah,
the first time and win. Like it took failing multiple times and failing forward multiple times over a 2-year period before I finally hit it right. And so, and honestly, when I first was secured that first $70,000 contract for just 28 days of work, mind you, it was for photography services. So we're talking about 2 hours a day for 28 days. That's 56 hours. That's technically a week. That's 1 week. $70,000 for 1 week worth of work. But it took me 2 years to figure out everything that I was doing wrong to get that. And when it was awarded, I thought they had made a mistake because I was so used to failing. I thought they made a mistake. So I accident so I almost said, "Well, let me hurry up and cash this check." before they realized before they realized they awarded me a contract for 28 days of work. But it turned out that they didn't, make a mistake. They actually did it intentionally. So I went back and I looked at exactly what I had done right that time and I understood a process. So I said, this is what I did. Let me do it again, right? Because success leaves clues. It's a
sure.
blueprint. So I did it again and I landed another contract simultaneously. It was $60,000 for similar days of work on top of this 70,000. So now all of a sudden I'm at six figures in a business for 30 days of work, right? And then I did it again, another $40,000 on top of that. So, and then I went on maybe 6 months down the line and I secured one contract that for video production and editing. So for 1 day of video producing and just a few iterations of editing, I invoice over $245,000 just for that 1 day of work. And this is why I'm so passionate about government contracting is because they don't, they don't penny pitch. Like they don't penny pitch, they pay you for value and not for hours. This is where you disconnect your exchange of business for hours, which hours are limited. They actually pay you for the value that you bring to the marketplace. So once you understand the value that you bring to the marketplace, then your business could really double, triple, quadruple, or even 10x like within the next, 6 to 12 months. So yeah, I failed miserably. But other people don't have to do that because now I have a clear blueprint of what to do and what not to do that you can follow and get results much, much faster.
Yeah. And I love that. And I love that you go through and say, look, I failed 2 years to get
Yeah.
to the win because everybody hears the wins and then they ignore the 2 years and then they're
Yeah.
like, which is one of the things I love about business. And I inherently take on things that are very difficult because I know most will just quit. It's like I want to do
Yeah.
that to grow the
Yeah.
business because if I do that and I master that, then I have no competition. Like, nobody's even willing to put in the effort for that.
Yeah.
So let's say I offer like business credit services, right? The
Mhm.
government's not going to use business credit services. I'm not saying they won't, but hypothetically,
Yeah,
then like if I go to that, and I'm like, they don't. My main business, there is no thing that I can get with them. How do I pivot? What should I do? I don't want to just give
yeah,
up at that point.
yeah,
Is there some other way I should change my way of thinking to
yeah,
go to a product or service that they will do, and then do I just go off the chains to choose something?
absolutely.
Like, how does that work?
So great question, because a lot of times people are stuck on that. They're like, well, will the government buy this? Well, it's not that they're buying, say, for instance, credit repair or business credit builder or whatever it is, right? They're buying the industry. So what is it? What industry are you in? It's financial consulting. Absolutely. They buy that all day. Like they buy that in hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in contracting opportunities. So it's being a financial consultant for the government. That is something that you can do. That's the industry that you're already in. And what are you helping people build that's building business credit? What are you helping them essentially to do? Financial literacy, to learn about financial literacy. Well, the government buys that. Helping them to prepare for their big exit, retirement. Well, the government, they buy that. So you have to really go deeper and understand what value that you have that you can actually offer in your area of expertise. So it just kind of broadens the scope. So for instance, sometimes people are like, well, I sell janitorial services. Well, we all know that the government buys janitorial services. They have buildings, right? But I still tell people go deeper. What in janitorial services are you offering? Is it carpet cleaning? Is it power washing? Is it recycling? Is it, upholstery cleaning? Or is it all of the above? And if it's all of the above, then you do more than just janitorial services. You're a cleaning company, you're a cleaning consultant, right? And so all of those different things, even if you do them simultaneously on one project, all of those different things you're invoicing separately for, which takes one contract, like one service, and it multiplies it. So you can have multiple streams of income when you understand the value that you're bringing. Again, we're not selling hours, we're selling value. So when you extract the value from your company, your services and your offerings, then basically you're able to multiply your wealth in that manner.
What is the GovCon challenge?
So great question. So I created the GovCon challenge specifically to help more entrepreneurs get pre-qualified for government contracts so they can understand how to pull together or what documents they need for their business foundation, understanding what the certifications are. These are my pillars, right? What certifications are out there that will help them access even more capital, how much the government is spending on their products and services, but most valuable, how much your business is worth. Most, like I said, the average entrepreneur is making less than $100,000. But even those who are making maybe 300,000 to a half a million, you have not seen anything yet. Anything yet. Until you understand how to extract value from your business, you can multiply that, half a million, 300,000, whatever it is that you're making. You can multiply it when you know how to offer it in a value package, right? And so that's what I walk you through during the challenge. So you can walk away pre-qualified, you know where to go register, you know what certifications to get. You'll be 100% pre-qualified to do business with the government, and you'll have a full understanding of what you're getting yourself into.
I love it. Thanks for coming on with us today. Look, there's not a lot of things that I'm like really overly excited about. I think I'm overexcited about it. It just makes so much sense. Of everything I've learned in 2 decades of funding, like I'm like, this makes a lot of sense. Like this is a real thing. And we try to get money from customers. And let's be honest, a lot of times they don't have the money. Government
Yep,
does not have that problem, right?
they
And,
don't.
and and then I also love this because I would imagine as a minority, you have advantages here to potentially win some of those contracts, which I love because
Yeah,
women entrepreneurs, African American entrepreneurs, I mean, like all the statistics are
yeah,
against one of these, let alone if you start stacking.
yeah,
So, I love this because I think that this gives you an advantage in those areas. And anything I think that gives minorities an advantage in a world where they do not have an advantage, I think I just love what you do. I think it's
right.
super powerful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So there's, I mean, there's definitely a lot of advantages with this, because there's funding that, there's funding opportunities that anybody can participate in regardless of your social economic disadvantages. But even if you do identify as woman or LGBT or veteran, anyone that has been basically systemically oppressed or, just kind of left out from these multi-million dollar opportunities, there are smaller pools of money that's still hundreds of billions of dollars that is set aside specifically just for those socioeconomic disadvantages. So everyone can win, in the government contracting space. It doesn't matter age, creed, or whatever, a race or whatever. Everyone can win. So there's a lot of opportunities for everyone. So you just kind of got to know how it works and get in where you fit in, and also just take advantage of the advantages, the extra advantages that exist. Yeah.
Or where should everybody go right
Mhm.
now to be able to register for the challenge and to be able to learn more?
Yeah, so you can go to govconchallenge.com/credit suite to get registered for the next upcoming 5-day challenge. I'll walk you through getting your business pre-qualified so that you can have a game plan to grow your business, by 5 to 10x in the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks for coming on with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So listen, I do a lot of these interviews, as you know, like we're 900 something plus episodes if you're watching
Uh-huh.
this.
Mhm.
And look, I'll tell you that this is one of the most powerful interviews I've done because what she says so many people don't know about this. The same as grants. Like there's a ton of money more than they will ever dispense because most just don't know. And if
Right.
you do know about government contracts, you have no freaking, you be honest, you have no freaking clue how to get them. Like you
Right.
don't know. So most people fail, right? And so
Right.
Karwanna comes on here and goes, "Hey, here's exactly what I did." And you heard her, like she's got 70,000, then like a 60,000, then like a 40,000, like 250. I mean, she's proven it. Not only has she done it for herself, but she's done it for everybody else. So this is what you should do. First of all, go get in this challenge. This is a live challenge. So
Yeah.
it's 5-day challenge, and you can go and register at again govconchallenge.com. Govcon GOVCON, like government contract, short for that, right? Govconchallenge.com. And if you go to govconchallenge.com/credit suite, then that gets you like preferential treatment. Like they fan you, they have fans, and then like
All that.
and they spritz you with water and give you
Yeah.
champagne. I think
All that.
all that stuff. I think that's what happens if you go to govconchallenge.com/credit suite. But I'm not sure, but I think that's what happens. So make sure you go there and check it out. And then if for some reason you don't want to register the challenge, you just want more info, then make sure you go to she'sgotgoals.com too. Because on she'sgotgoals.com, you can also go right to the top and click to register for the challenge right there as well. And while you're there, make sure you follow her on her social media because she's got a lot of things there going on that can give you some free insight as well. But I am a big fan of challenges because challenges, if you're not familiar with a challenge is designed to actually help you get the result, right?
Yes.
So you're talking about coming into a challenge. It's 5 days that maps out. Here's what you do. Here's what you do. Here's what you do. Don't do this. Don't do this. And then it just literally gets you to the results.
Yeah.
And you can come out the other side getting tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands potentially in contracts. So make sure you go to govconchallenge.com/credit suite right now to register. And then also don't forget to check out she'sgotgoals.com as well. Make sure you take the step right now. So thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you check it out at govconchallenge.com/credit suite. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Have a great day.